big masked figure. They had horns. This is where my body gravitated.
Oh, this chick literally goes through the car as we drive through, like spiritually.
That man sitting on the bed the night before.
The blue light flashed in front of our eyes.
Take a walk with me to the dark side, where the spirits are archived on the far side. Shadows with dark eyes and creatures that tell lies.
And there was a rocking chair, and it would rock by itself.
It's got some funky shit going on in it.
Very scary. It felt like someone was watching us the entire time we were walking. I hear this low pitch.
Hello, my creepies. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Ghosts. I am, of course, your host, Sunray. So today, I am going to read you some stories that I have been holding on to for quite some time, like 2 to 3 years. I've got a ton of them. They're all about the Hat Man. And if you know me, you know I've had an experience with the Hat Man myself. If you'd like to go find that story out, go check out my second episode ever, Grandma's House. It was an experience from when I was little. So yeah, check that out, and let's just dive right into this. So this is an article that I found on monster.fandom.com, and it explains a little bit of what the Hat Man is. Hat Man is a phenomenon in which witness reports seeing a shadowy entity dressed in an old top hat on some occasions, and on others with a fedora-type hat, typically detective hat, and sometimes a layer. The Hat Man acts like a ghost and is almost always seen there, just standing up. This form can simply fade until the witness no longer sees it and has no apparent reaction to people. For example, many people reported bumping into this entity, which does absolutely nothing for seconds or minutes, then moves around a bit and just vanishes, as if it couldn't detect who saw it. This type of entity sometimes appears as a ghost by those who study this phenomenon. It looks like a ghost with the shadow of a person wearing an old-style hat. Unlike a ghost who might have visible facial features, the Hat Man is a shadow in the dark in its entirety, with no details, only the shadow. However, it is not always reported to be harmless. Hat Man has sometimes been mentioned as a distinct entity, and many times witnesses report that they feel utter terror upon seeing it. Many have reported that this entity feeds on his terror and does not vanish. He simply walks away as a normal person would. This shadow has substance. That is, some have touched it, and many paranormal researchers believe that this entity should be studied. And it really is. He really is just a shadow in his own entity. Like, there is no details. When I saw him, I didn't really see details. I saw him I could tell he was wearing black shoes with long black pants, with a black trench coat and a black top hat. There was no feature on his face. You can't see his hands, nothing. He's just a shadow. Very creepy. So some of these stories have been emailed to me. Some of them people have submitted to me from a Reddit. And some of them are from stories of people I know. So this one is from Dana Shackelford. She emailed this to me. It was a sleepless night. It was the strangest sleep paralysis I've ever had in my life to this day. It was basically all a dream, I think. It's still pretty confusing to me. Anyway, I lay down and watch YouTube before bed. Daz games if you're curious. I fall asleep and then suddenly woke up scared, yet my eyes when I opened them would roll into the back of my head and my arms would tense up, and I basically would have a seizure. This happened about 10 times throughout the night. My God. Last time it happened, though, my eyes did not roll back. They were fixated on this thing at the end of my bed. A shadow man. The Hat Man. His legs were at the end of my bed, yet his torso and head were above me. He had a top hat on and a trench coat, but he was all black. Nothing about him had color except for his eyes. His eyes were red and stared into my soul, it seemed. I finally fell back asleep. This was 2 months ago, and I still remember it like it just happened. You know, when I saw the shadow man, okay, I'll just tell you guys. So when I saw the shadow man, I woke up to this door hovering above me, and I looked back like this. Tell me how I could see his entire figure, but he was holding the door. You know, and that's one of the strange things about all of these stories that I get about the Hat Man is the way we see him is impossible. He's bigger than he would have been able to fit. Like, things don't make sense, but yet we still somehow see him from top to bottom. This is another story from Dana. She says, this was 4 years ago, just after Hurricane Harvey. The storm had flooded my house completely. Everything was ruined. Our landlord was kind enough to let us stay in a house he had not been able to rent out until our house was livable again. The last people who lived in this house left a bunch of things there in the garage. A bunch of broken baby toys, a giant fish tank, tools, etc. My room was beautiful, however. There was a door that was nailed shut. He didn't tell us what was in there, just that it should remain sealed. I was 16 at the time and very curious about things. Still am. So I went to the garage, found a hammer, and proceeded to pry the nail off the open door. It was nothing but a big hole in the floor that led to the ground. I did unleash something, though, as strange as it seems. It was near Christmas time when I did this. The first strange event was rice appeared in our dog's water bowl, and to this day nobody knows how it got there. Things just got more frightening. A spoon flew out of my cereal bowl and hit the wall across the room. The tape dispenser I've used for wrapping Christmas presents slides across the floor. I started seeing a tall, dark figure that would stand in the doorway to my closet and watch me sleep. Ooh. That freaks me out. Like, any place that I've lived in where I've had a closet, I have to sleep with the closet door shut. The last thing, however, I will never forget in fear and utter shock I felt. We had already moved out back into our old house, and my dad had left his toolkit, so he sent my sister and I to go get it. We were all standing in the garage, talking about every creepy thing that has ever happened to us in this house. We hear a laugh. It wasn't loud, but it was heard, and it came from the attic above the garage, where we were. We all kind of just looked at each other, and as we speak about a certain demon, in quotes, Z-O, I will not say that name, one of the broken baby toys behind us started playing a lullaby. We all screamed and ran out of the house. We have never returned to this day. Yeah, that is pretty spooky. I definitely wouldn't want to go back to that house too. Well, honestly, I'm not even going to kid you guys. I probably would. I'm a spooky person. But thank you so much, Dana, and I'm very sorry it took me so long to read this. Hope you get to see this. This one is from Megan Reese, and it's another email. Last year, I moved up to the city with my mom to take care of my grandma. She had had a stroke and a heart attack, and she didn't want to spend her last days in a nursing home. Anyways, I was working at a grow during this time, and this place was haunted. I could just feel it. I would also see things move in the corner of my eyes, and I was convinced there was some type of poltergeist at this place, because things would just fall when they had been in the same spot for hours, and stuff would shift. Well, one day we were trimming, and someone was talking, so I turned to look at them, and in the corner of the room there was an extremely tall shadow person, like 8 to 9 feet tall. I couldn't see its face, but just an outline of it, and it was extremely dark. It looked like it was wearing a long coat and a tall hat. I looked at it for a minute or two. It let me stare at it. It knew I saw it, and it saw me. It totally freaked me out, so I turned back to continue trimming, pretending like nothing happened. And when I did, my scissors that were sitting blade down in a cup 1/3 full of alcohol spun full circle in the cup. I looked up to see if anyone noticed, but nobody did, and I don't think they saw the shadow person either. So I just prayed over myself and everyone else in the property and continued my job. Then about a week later, my grandma passed away. So I don't know if it was death or something I manifested or attracted for wallowing in grief. Have you ever seen anything like this? I haven't seen it since, but I don't think I'll ever forget it. Wow. I don't know if that would be the Hat Man. I've never heard of the Hat Man like warning death or anything like that, but maybe you did see the angel of death. You know, maybe it was something that warned you that your grandma was gonna pass. I'm interested in the kind of relationship you had with her. Like, had you always been close to her? And has anything like this happened with surrounding other people's deaths with you? I personally have never seen anything like that would associate to someone's death. But I definitely, sorry about your loss, so sorry about your grandma, and yeah, that is definitely creepy. And other thing, the fact that you were the only one that saw it, and then you saw the scissors spinning in your cup as well, and you're the only one that saw that too, it makes me think it had it knew you saw it, so it had like a temporary connection with you, like a temporary bond with you, and that's why nobody else acknowledged what was happening in that moment for you, because honestly, they probably didn't see any of it, but because the spirit was connected to you and that was opened, it let you see more. It validated you. So this story is Snake Gravity, and this was submitted to me on Reddit. I've been seeing this Hat Man ever since I was a young child. I vividly remember seeing him when I was about 7 years old, standing in the woods with a young girl. There was no movement. He was just very still, and I supposedly mentioned to my grandma that was walking with me at the time that this girl had a pink dress on. I repeatedly asked my grandma why they were in the woods alone. She ignored me. My grandparents always tell me the stories about how I used to see a man staring at me through the window. I remember he used to stand in my backyard just looking at me. He never moved or spoke to me. He was always just there staring at me. I was never scared of him as a kid. I was more confused. The last time I saw him was about a year-ish ago. I woke up at 3 a.m. to grab a sip of water, and I sensed something staring at me. I look around and I see that there is this shadow figure staring at me. He had a tall hat, holding some sort of briefcase, and was extremely tall, like 7 feet tall. I was scared and went under the covers till he went away. In the morning, I asked everyone in the house if they were staring at me next to the doorway in the middle of the night, and they all said no. Every day, I am paranoid to go to sleep now. I know he's not going to do anything to harm me. He's just creepy. I agree. He is just creepy. And I've heard of this too, which I'm not sure if this story is in here or not, but I know somebody who used to see him a lot when she was growing up and stuff, and then she had kids. She saw him one last time and then had never seen him again. And I'm totally curious about this little girl in the pink dress. Like, why was she with him? And why was she with him watching you, kind of type thing? What kind of connection does she have with you? Because typically it's just the Hat Man that people see. So maybe this wasn't the Hat Man. Maybe these were some kind of spirit guides or, soul family that are still on the other side just watching over you. That's a thought. Have you ever met your spirit guides? But thank you so much for submitting that story. I appreciate it. So this one is from Jordan Belfort. This is also a Reddit story. The Hat Man Scary Experience. The Hat Man haunted me. Backstory. 5 to 8 years old, I grew up in a chaotic household with a drunk father. The first set of dreams. The first set of dreams, I didn't have the Hat Man in them, but were certainly related. I don't remember too much of these dreams, but it consisted of a little girl with pitch black eyes who tried to gain my trust and did, and led me to this house. I believe she was leading me to him. The house was creepy and caused me to yell no in my sleep. The Hat Man dreams. She labeled all of these. Very nice. These dreams came directly after the first set. I remember these like this was yesterday. The setting was an old ranch on a dirt road. I never went into the ranch. I only stayed on the dirt road. The ranch, however, was always dark, built of old rustic wood. The ranch was to the right of me, and everything else around me was nothing but dirt. The first time I saw him, he stood far away with a top hat, a trench coat, and a shadow for a face. I stood in the dirt road, motionless and scared for my life. He then immediately got really close and tried to get me to go into his portal on the ground. The portal was a circle and was maybe as big as the width of a car. I refused, and that's when he started to hurt me. He scratched me, and I would wake up with scratches in real life. He choked me, and I could feel the sensations of being choked in real life. He would come back night after night after night to try to get me into his portal. Inside his portal was pure darkness, nothing to see, just black. The setting never changed throughout the dream, always just a ranch on a dirt road. After nights of terror and waking up in pain with scratches and being choked, I decided that tonight I wouldn't be scared of him, and hopefully he would go away. That night was the worst of all nights. He threw everything at me, scratches, chokes, and inflicted pain in my body. He then dragged me into his portal, and I was only hanging on with two hands with my feet dangling in his portal. In that moment, I knew I couldn't be scared of him. So I just hung there, not screaming or fighting back, and I realized I wasn't scared anymore, and he disappeared. When I woke up immediately after the dream that I decided I wasn't going to be scared of him, I looked in my doorway. As a kid, I always shut the door before I slept, but this time it was cracked. I looked and I saw him, but he was different this time. He had a brownish face. You couldn't really make out a nose or a mouth. His eyes were silver and white, and he just stared at me for about a minute, and then he just left, and I haven't seen him since. Thank you for reading. Let me know your thoughts. Man, that sounds like Nightmare on Elm Street. Seriously, that is creepy. And honestly, with spirits and negative entities and stuff like that, showing it that you're not afraid of it starves them. When you lose that fear, they have nothing to eat, and that's what they do. They antagonize people and they put fear into people so that they can eat off of their negative energies and their fears, and they become bigger energies. When you're not being that and you're standing up to them and you're showing no fear, they dissipate. They go away because they're no longer bigger than you. So that was a good 5 stories. I think I have about 22 to 25 of these, so I think I'm just going to read them in 5 story increments for you guys. So this was part 1 of The Hat Man. Let me know your thoughts on this. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let me know your thoughts down below. Please make sure to like and comment and subscribe because it really does matter. A lot of my viewers on here are not subscribers. I have 171 subscribers, and some of my videos get upwards to 500 views. So, just make sure that you're taking a moment to like this episode. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Comment on it. Let me know what you thought. If you made it to this point, leave me a ghost emoji. I really love seeing those. Until next time, keep it creepy. Bye!